to a new episode of my podcast, which is mostly about knitting, but also a little bit about sewing and anything handmade. My name is Erika, and you can find me as Loareknits everywhere. And today is May 4th, Sunday. I'm not sure if this will come out today or tomorrow, but I am recording in the morning of May 4th. As you can see, I am at a new location. It's still in my house. If you've been following on Instagram, you might have been able to see that I did a little change of studio rooms in the house. So now I have a slightly bigger room, and it also meant that I did a little bit of cleaning and I have a bit more storage space. So yeah, I think now this space is more appropriate for filming, and I'm not sure I have, or I may have recorded a little bit of the new space for the intro or the outro, so you might get a glimpse of that today. But let me know if you would like an official tour of the new space. As I said, this is a podcast mostly about knitting, but also a little bit of sewing, and I am coming from near Barcelona. We're in full spring mode. We're getting lots of rain, but also it's warm, so this means I can no longer wear most of my knits. So today I am wearing my latest hand-sewn thing. I am participating in Made May, I guess, but I'm not sharing. I try to wear something handmade every day. Ever since I learned to make my own underwear, I would say I wear my handmade underwear 100% of the days. But I do try to wear handmade things also more and more often, and this is very easy in autumn and winter time, because I've been knitting for many years, but a couple of years ago, or a few years ago, I also learned how to sew because I wanted to make lighter garments that I could wear during springtime and summertime, which tends to get very warm here. So this is one of these things. Actually, this is a test I sewed. This is called the Beth Blouse by Madswick Studio, and the pattern is coming out tomorrow, so I figured I would wear it for today's episode. So it's coming out on May 5th, Monday, and depending on when you're watching this, it might be today or it might have just happened. And just let me show you a little bit. It's a very lightweight, or I chose a very lightweight fabric. It's a beautiful blouse. It's a bit crumply. I tried ironing it, but I didn't do a great job. I don't love to iron, I have to say. I have to do it for sewing because it helps the process, but I don't love it. So it has beautiful frill details on the sleeves and on the bib type neck. It had an optional fringe like placket also on the placket. I didn't do it, I just sewed the plain placket, but I love the neck. And yeah, I chose this very light Cotton Batiste, but apparently the flecks are not cotton, they're polyester, so that's why it's very difficult to iron. I have to iron it with a cloth on top of it so that my iron doesn't get it doesn't burn the fibers. So that's why I didn't do a great job, but I just hope my mom doesn't see this. She always tells me I should iron my clothes better, but oh well. Okay, so let's go on with the knitting things, which is mostly what this podcast is about. I haven't recorded in 3 weeks, I think. So since mid-April, I would say. And at the April episode I forgot to tell you about my knitting tracker. I think I'm gonna start with that. Yeah, every year for the past couple of years I am trying to keep track of how much I knit in grams and meters, just because I like tracking these kind of numbers. And so that's what I call what part of my stash goes out, so out of my stash. And also I try to add up how much yarn I welcome into my yarn collection, so stashing. And then every month I make a little summary, or I sum up the numbers, and I try to always be on the negative side. Let's say, what I mean is I always try to knit more grams and meters than I incorporate into my stash. I am trying to knit more from my yarn collection. I have a considerable one, and I'm not in a buy ban or anything. I buy yarn that I like or need for specific projects or want, and yeah, I just try to knit more than I bring into my stash. But I just realized that although I did share how much I did knit in January and February, I think I didn't do it for March, and now I have the numbers for March and April. So let's get on to it. In March I need a total of 417 grams and 1,798 meters. But I also bought yarn with a total of 350 grams and 1,160 meters. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense of me saying these numbers, but I haven't figured out a good way of showing these numbers on the screen while I record. I might try a new editing program today if I have time. So maybe you are seeing those numbers, and if not, just bear with me. This meant that at least I was still in the negative numbers, and I need 67 more grams and 640, around 40 meters more than I incomed. So that was good because the balance was negative. And then in April, although I did finish quite a few things, I did not need as much, neither in grams nor in meters. And mostly because I was quite busy during Easter time, although I had quite a few days or a couple of days of holidays because I was doing the studio move. So I was quite busy with that and quite tired, and also I did a little bit of sewing. This is something I noticed in the last couple of years when I started sewing as well. Every time I sew something or I am in a little sewing spree, my knitting time goes down. Obviously because I have a specific amount of free time for my hobbies, little hobbies, and if I want to do other things, then my knitting time has to go down. So then in April, from the 400-ish grams that I need in March, I went down to 223 grams and 780 meters. So not a lot, but it's fine. I did also buy some yarn. I showed in the last episode. The Linaria Sock kit by Woolen Twine Fiber Studio. So that meant I incomed into my collection 200 grams and 750 meters. But my net or my balance was still on the negative. I did need 23 grams more than I brought into my stash and 30 meters more than I brought into my stash. So my yearly balance is still in negative. I have need 400 grams more than I have grown my stash, and 1,400 meters more than I've got my stash. So my goal of knitting from stash and knitting more that I purchased, so my total knit continues to get smaller. It's going okay. So that's for my knitting tracker numbers. If you're interested, if not, you probably could have skipped to this point. And now we're gonna talk about finished things. As I was saying, even though I've knit a little less or half of what I usually knit in a month with regards to grams and meters, I have finished quite a few things this month. So two of the things that I finished I showed in the last episode, which were my golden socks that I call my golden Beige socks, and the little shawlets that I am designing for Nomad Nose. And I don't have those with me because I already showed them, so if you want to check them out, you can go back to the last episodes. And I've also mentioned in several recordings that this year I am aiming to knit 12 pairs of socks. So 12 pairs of socks in 12 months in 2025. And the golden socks that I showed last time were my 4th pair. But the two other finished objects that I have to show today are my pairs number 5 and 6 of my knitting 12 pairs of socks in 2025. And those would be these two pairs of socks that I have here. They do have pairs, I put only one of each in the sock lockers. So first up we have I never know how to say this name. I should have asked Nora how to pronounce it. I think this is either, I call them, in my brain I call them the Cill Rónáin socks, but it could be Cill Rónáin socks, something like that, by Fox and Folk. And it's very difficult to show the cables while they're on the blocker. They look beautiful. I think I already showed one in the last episode, but I did redo the Latvian braid that it has on the toe because I wasn't happy about the finish. And what I was saying, I wasn't happy about how it turned out, just because I used a different video to work it that I have done in the past. So I finished the second sock last weekend, and then I ripped the toe and the braid of the first one, and then I redid it. And now I am a lot happier with it. The stitches look still maybe a little bit more elongated after the braid, but not so much as they did last time, so I'm quite happy with how they look. And what I was saying is that the sock, of course you can't see the cable that runs through the front while it's laying on the blocker, which looks very beautiful, but you can't see this beautiful cable pattern. They feature a stitch on the back, goes all the way down to the heel, and they just look beautiful. So this is pair number 5 of the year, and I worked this in Regia Premium Merino Yak, which is one of my favorite sock yarns, so commercial sock yarns. I love how it knits up, looks beautiful in cables, and it has this depth of color that the yak fibers provide. I haven't worn any of them. I don't know how they wear. I've heard people saying that the yak fibers are spitted out of the fabric once you wear them, but I don't know because I haven't worn them. I have knit 2 or 3 pairs, but I've always gifted them, and at least for knitting it, it's a yarn that I really enjoy. So this is sock pair number 5, and now on to sock pair number 6. sock pair number 6 are an all over colorwork sock. It's a bit higher than ankle sock. These are the Brigid socks by Sjösvärd, and yeah, these were released on Beltane or for Beltane, so April 30th, and they are worked at bigger gauge on bigger needles, using a yarn that is slightly thicker than classic sock yarn. For mine I will link it on the notes because I don't remember exactly now, and I did show them last time, but I don't think I had finished. I think I showed them in progress and I showed the yarns. They worked toe up. The color work pattern, it's very easy and very, yeah, you can memorize it very quickly. It goes really fast. I did one extra row, chart repeat on the foot. Then it features a short row heel, and I did the 3 chart repeats the pattern call for on the cuff, no, on the leg. Then for the cuff, it features a little lace row, and then the cuff. The pattern tells you it's perfect for scrap knitting. It tells you to use a 4th contrast color for the cuff, so right before the last chart motif ends, you incorporate it in the last chart motif repeat, and you knit the cuff in color contrast color 4. However, I wanted to use most of my main color, and I think I was left with 4 grams from the 50 gram skein or ball. So what I did is or maybe 2, regardless, very little. So what I did is to continue with the main color. I was weighing my yarn as I went when I was knitting my first sock, and then I used contrast color 2 for just adding a row before bind off. So I added all the notes on my Ravelry page of the mods that I made, and these are the little Brigid socks by Sjösvärd. And this is my sock pair number 6 of my 12 pairs in 2025. I might need more than 12 pairs, I might need less. It was just a fun challenge to do. It's organized by Marta, and it's knit along organized for Spanish speaking people. I've mentioned it several times, but it's a very relaxed knit along. You don't have to do it. It's just I thought it was a fun challenge since I always knit too many socks anyway. But this means that by the end of April I was done with half of the socks that I was aiming to knit for the year. And interestingly, I don't have any socks on my needles right now. Well, that's technically a lie. I do have really old sock whips on my needles that I have listed, and I do want to finish them sometimes, but I don't have any active socks on the needles right now. I have some really old socks that I need to decide whether I want to finish or frog. I have some really intricate cable socks, lace and cable socks that I really need to concentrate a lot on knitting them, and they're probably just on cables or just on hold. They are what you call UFOs, unfinished objects, and they are kind of hibernating, but I don't have any active sock projects on my nails right now. That's what I meant. But I will probably cast on a new pair for May soon. In fact, I think what I need to cast on is a little pair of colorwork socks that I want to knit from Charlotte Stone's book, together with a lovely viewer, Anya. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. We're gonna knit together a pair from the book, probably Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I think I did show that in another episode as well. So yeah, that will probably be my next pair on the needles, and they will be my beautiful flowery May socks. So before I get on to that, I want to show you what I do have on my needles that I am currently actively working on. And that will be first the bubble version of the little shawlette or scarflet that I told you I was working on. And this is a design that I am working on for Nomad Knows. I am working this on the High Mountain Yak yarn, which is 100% yak, and it's just a pleasure to work. And in the last episode I did show just a little kerchief, sometimes called it scarflet, sometimes kerchief, but it is a bandana like little kerchief. I think I need to make one more bubble, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 or 2 more. I don't remember right now how many I designed, but this is what the pattern version of the kerchief will look like. My testers are doing a great job. Many of them just finished it. This just flies off the needles. This is the progress that I made in one car ride coming back from the Pyrenees, where I was spending just a couple of days with family, and a couple more. I don't know, I think this is the progress of 3-4 hours of knitting probably. And I think it's looking cute. The bubbles are quite big because I thought they would be fun to have in the garter background, and they just have a little slip stitch stem coming from them, and it will be closed with another bubble on the other side, and then just finished. It has this triangular shape, and the idea is that it is a bandana size, so a little kerchief size that you can just wrap once, not even like wrap, just put once around your neck and tie with a little knot. But there are also instructions in the pattern. There will be also instructions in the pattern to use as much yarn as you have, as long as you weigh it and you stop increasing when you've reached half of the amount of yarn that you have. So this is work in progress number 1. It still doesn't have a name, so I keep calling it my Nomad Nose kerchief. It will have a name, and the pattern will be released in a couple of weeks, so mid-May. I'm just giving a little more time for my testers to finish it, and I want to finish this sample and take beautiful pictures with it so I can release it. So this is my active work in progress number 1. And for my active work in progress number 2, I did show this beautiful yarn last time. I hope you can see its shine. It is no accident that my nails are matching. Sometimes I do this, I can't help it. But yeah, I'm using these Gregoria fibers, alpaca linen silk, very summery yarn for a summery top. And what I'm knitting, it's another test for Anna Sjösvärd, which is the Yggdrasil tea. And this is the beautiful, or will be a beautiful summer tee. It is a raglan type tee. It's shaped with short rows in the back, and at the raglans it features these beautiful cables that then I just split for the body, so it's very difficult for you to see, maybe here, but this little raglan detail will go into the underarm all the way down to the body. And this is flying off the needles. Also, this yarn is so giving. I haven't even finished the first 100-gram skein, and I've already split for the underarms. I do need to block it sideways. My swatch to match the gauge needed to be blocked sideways, but it is reaching, and it did grow a bit, but it is reaching nicely under my underarms. So this little summer tee is what I am mindlessly knitting right now, and I'm just loving it. I would say I don't know how when I cast this on, but I don't think it's been a week. I think it's been less, and this is the progress I've made. It's just flying off the needles. I don't know if it's the gauge after working so many socks and working at a tight gauge with small needles or it's just the way the yarn just so smooth on the needles that it's making me knit faster. Though the stitch looks small, it is a little loosey gauge, and yeah, I'm loving it. So this is the Yggdrasil tee by Anna Sjösvärd. It's a test that is running until the end of the month. So that's my work in progress, or my active work in progress number 2. And for my future plans, I have a basket of scraps. One of the great things about doing the studio switch or move, or little move, was that I first got to sort my yarns again, and I did have some of them laying around the house in other cardboard, cupboards, drawers and places, but I did have most of my stash and scraps under control. I knew where they were. It's just they were not handy or not at hand, so I don't usually look at them a lot. I know what I have. I think I have good photographic memory. There were some things that I thought I had and then I had forgotten I had knit, but that's just a very rare case. But just rearranging it again, and one of the things that I wanted to do was to put all the scraps also together so I could have them at hand, and I have been willing for a while to knit some scrappy projects, and I wanted to have them all at hand so I could sort and select the colorways and the little scraps easily. So one thing was sorting the yarn, which was great, like the full skeins and everything that I have, and the other was sorting the scraps. And it was a bit overwhelming doing the move and moving everything, but mostly because I was also overwhelmed with inspiration. I wanted to knit all the things, I wanted to make everything, and particularly use all the scraps. And I had some scrappy patterns on my queue for a while, and last week I just purchased them. There are 2 patterns by Laura Penrose, which are the Sweet Shop blanket and the Stella quilt cushion. And as much as I want to knit scrappy things, I don't know if I am ready for it. I don't know if they are two long-term projects that I would get tired of or overwhelmed with, or just bored by, and they might just keep lingering them. So I figured, as much as I want to knit the blanket, I think I will start with the cushion, which will go here in my new knitting armchair, which is, by the way, the loveliest spot in the new room, because it's just by this big window. So I figured I would start with the cushion, and then if I can complete it at a reasonable time and I am enjoying it, then it might become, I might have the strength or energy to start with the blanket. So for that, although I was tempted to get a new white base, I looked at for a white base to use as the background, I looked at my older stash and I found this Katia Merino Classic, which is DK weight yarn, and I thought this was a good neutral to use as the background. I did have some other white DK weight yarn, but I didn't have enough according to the pattern, so I didn't want to cut it short, and I figured I would do it with this neutral beige and then use all the pastel colors for it. I have some merino yak, some I need to look up because I don't remember what they are. I know I used them in socks a while ago. I will check what the bases are. Probably another green in different ends. I have a darker taupe color, and these are all fingering weight scraps that I will use held down. Wasn't sure I wanted the mustard or the more pale yellow, and then I had the hardest time choosing the pinks. I did have a very baby pinkish pink, but I wasn't feeling it at all. I did find these bigger scraps of a little variegated pinks, and I'm not sure I want the pink to be variegated, the only variegated one. Then I found this beautiful mini, but with all the pastel colors I wasn't sure. And then I just finished with this from the Brigid socks, and I thought it was perfect. So the idea is that you need to choose 8 colors. Well, you don't need to, but you can choose up to 8 colors for your star motif in the quilt cushion. So there we are. I still think this one is a bit too dark, so we'll see. I just left them all here in my basket, ready to cast on. I said last week, I said I would cast on as soon as I cast on the tea and the little kerchief, because that was a bit pressing, and this would be my reward cast on. I do these things with myself sometimes. I cast on what feels a little bit more like work, so either things that have a deadline or designs that I want to get out when I agreed with the yarns, or a deadline that I set to myself, and then I would cast on something completely purely self-indulgent project like this. I still enjoy casting other things. I still enjoy the socks, even even if they're up for the challenge, but everything that has a little deadline feels a little bit like it has the priority. But then this kind of thing is very just for me, just for my space, for our space, and it's like a little treat that I get to knit with this without a deadline, just for the pure pleasure of working with some yarns that I've worked in the past and I enjoyed so much. So this is what I've been up to, and yeah, I don't know how long I've been talking. It's probably up the half hour again. I haven't decided on the yarn for my tulip socks. I did show Anya some combinations, but I wasn't super convinced with it. I think it was when I was overwhelmed with the move and sorting all my yarns and scraps that I wasn't 100% sure. I'm not sure I want them to be pastel-like, so choosing this kind of scraps, I could use them because these are all sock yarns, or I wanted something more vibrant. You know, tulips are usually very vibrant colors, so I wanted to use like a very, not neon or fuchsia, but a bright pink or red, and maybe a dark background. But now I'm having doubts, maybe I want a lighter background. Yeah, I'm not sure. So yeah, let me know what you think, if you enjoyed the episodes. Let me know what you think of the new space, if the audio is still working here, if the light was working, and if not, it's not something that I have a lot of control of, but I hope you like the new space. Not sure, I will record a little bit now of it. Let me know if you would like a more deep tour. It's not completely finished. I haven't moved all the boxes and everything into the new shelving, but it's quite fine. And yeah, I hope I haven't forgotten anything. If I have, probably it's on the show notes and I have added a little comment on the video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon, hopefully in a couple of weeks or 3. Okay, bye.